Do you enjoy going to Moulin Rouge as much as we do? Better yet, do you like going to concerts and sporting events?
SeatGeek helps people easily purchase tickets to these kind of events and unites people like you and us through live entertainment.
And things just got easier for you. As proud partners of SeatGeek, you can use our exclusive promo code CANCAN10 and you'll get $10 off of any purchase that is $250 or over.
Hey Lily, you've been eyeing up that can seat for a while now.
You're so right, Jules. I think I'm gonna go purchase it right now and use our code for a discount. Do you want to join?
Hell yeah.
Again, that's CANCAN10 to get $10 off of any purchase that is $250 or over. Only valid for your first purchase. Hey guys, it's your girl Lily here, one half of CanCan Talks, and I am here to tell you about our Patreon page. You don't know what Patreon is? Well, it's a platform to interact more with you guys. We post a lot of content on Instagram, but it does limit what we can post. For example, video length. Patreon allows us to post full-length videos of our episodes, as well as other cool things as a way to get to know us. You can sign up for a free subscription, you heard me, free, and you can view the full-length video recordings for a portion of our episodes. You can also join us for just $2 a month, and you'll have access to every full-length video recording, including the episodes with our special guests. We'll also be posting other fun content such as polls, exclusive updates on our upcoming guests, and so much more. Who knows? Maybe we'll live stream and let you guys see how we record an episode. Honestly, as a visual learner myself, I would love to have access to the video recordings of some of my favorite podcasts. So if you're like me, don't wait to sign up. Check us out at www.patreon.com/CanCanTalksPod and sign up for your free or $2 a month membership now. Again, that's www.patreon.com/CanCanTalksPod, linked in our episode description.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Can Talks. It's your girl Jules with my co-host Lily. We have a really exciting episode today. Very exciting. We have a very special guest. But before we get into that, Lily, do you have any announcements?
We don't have any announcements this week because we are we are doing doubles this week and because we will be in the city next weekend. And by the time this episode comes out, we will already have been in the city. And also this episode is coming out on my birthday, so happy birthday to me.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy
Happy
birthday to
birthday to you.
future me.
Yeah. Happy birthday to Lily. Another year. Lily is turning 12.
Yes. I think that when we see like Moulin Rouge, did you see that SNL sketch with Ariana Grande and what's his name?
Bowen Yang.
Bowen Yang,
I
yeah.
briefly saw it. I didn't watch the
Okay,
whole
they
thing,
like
but
keep going into the happy birthday to you or something like that. I was just
oh
like,
yeah.
they should do that for my birthday. So
Yeah. And it's
just
like
by the way.
Satine. And it's like, is it because you're Australian? She's like,
No.
no,
It's so
no.
good.
Sorry to anyone Australian listeners. Okay, so
Anyways,
anyway,
we have the wonderful Jenn Stafford joining us today. I'm so excited. But before we get into the interview, Jules is going to just go into her background a little bit.
yes, so Jenn Stafford originally originated in the Moulin Rouge tour, the first national tour back in 2022, and in August of last year, she actually made her Broadway debut with Moulin Rouge, so that's really exciting. Um, she is now one of our Heel members, and we love it. So
I think I actually saw her as Babydoll. I'm not gonna lie.
she was a Babydoll
Yeah,
understudy on the
I think I
tour
saw
as
her as
well.
Babydoll in Cincinnati. So
Yes.
yes,
Well,
I'm from
that's
Cincinnati.
if you didn't know Lily's from Cincinnati by now, where have you been? Okay, so before Moulin Rouge, Jen performed all over the world in live productions of Cirque du Soleil. What's amazing. She was in the Rose Bowl Parade, Nevada Ballet Theater, the O2 Dance Company. She even, sorry, excuse me, I can't even speak today. It's been a long day. I
Yeah.
say that I slept until 12. She's also starred in At the Grammy Awards, she performed with Katy Perry and Paul McCartney. She did Life is Beautiful Music Fest. She did the Toronto Alternate Fashion Week. I know I said that wrong. She's been in a few music videos with Katy Perry, Tiffany Young, and she also, what is really fun, she's been in some films. She was in Avatar 2 and Avatar 3. So she is literally in the Avatar franchise, what's amazing. If
So
anyone
go
knows,
and watch those movies, rewatch those movies if you've seen them already, and try to find it
she
in the
also,
movies.
um, she speaks intermediate French. And I feel like that's very helpful with Moulin Rouge because it's
We
set in
must
Paris.
be the money.
We must be the money because all I know in French is we must
Must
be the
be the
money.
money.
Must be the money is not French.
Back to the SNL sketch. He goes, I know some French. He goes, voulez-vous coucher avec moi? No, actually, that is actually French. He goes, getchi getchi ya ya data. What does that
Yeah.
mean? Mocha chocolata. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
basically.
good.
Um, so yeah, she is going to be on our podcast today, and we are super, super excited. So let's get into it.
Woo! Hi, we are with Jen. Hi, Jen. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. How are you?
We are doing wonderful. Thank you for coming on and talking with us. We really do appreciate it. So, we just have a few questions and we're just going to kind of bounce off each other. So, the first question we always ask everyone is, what was your audition story for Rouge?
Oh, that's a good one. I auditioned for Moulin Rouge in 2019 in Los Angeles when they were doing auditions all over the country. I remember going and having like my first day was just dancing. Oh yeah, we danced Bad Romance, a little bit of it, and some choreography. And then there was a second day where we did Roxanne partnering, sang again. And there's a third day, like we were only supposed to have 2 days, and there's a third day where we did even more of that, plus, the people in the room multiplied. From there, they said, you're called back, but we don't know exactly when that'll be. And so then in January or February of 2020, there was a New York callback. And I remember going in and being like, okay, now we're starting. This is actually the start of the audition. Like it was a really crowded room. The holding room was pretty intense. Um, Everyone had those like fancy LaDuca shoes. I did not have those. I didn't know what those were. And I looked around the room and I'm like, it is packed in here. Okay, this is the start of the audition again. Um, and it was such an interesting time because we had heard about COVID like overseas and stuff, but it wasn't prevalent in our time and our like area, New York. So I just think back, we were so like intimate dancing and singing in one room, and we had no idea what was about to happen. But we did lots of rounds of bad romance. We even did Seven Nations cut, like even the heels got to do that in our heels. And my heels were I didn't have LaDucas. I had these like chunky combat boot, like heavy. I don't know if you remember the brand, like Bongo, chunky shoes. I just knew that they were like the vibe of the show, the essence of the show, but they weren't great dance shoes by any means. And to do like some of that dancing in those shoes was a challenge. We did some Roxanne, and we had to improvise with our partners. And I love improv, so that was really fun. And I think it was like 2 full days of that, of dancing and singing again. And then I ended up putting some more stuff on tape after I left. And I got the call in March that I booked it, March of 2020. And then the next week, the world shut down, I'm pretty sure. Like it was that fast. Like I got the call. They were like, we're about to start tour. You booked it. First national tour, all these incredible cities. And then like a week or two later, it was like postponed indefinitely. And then we just, they were really beautifully communicating with us that they still had intention of like keeping us around on the tour, whenever it could happen. But it also kind of like felt very distant. It wasn't until they had dates, and then they, for the Tony Awards, that I guess that would have been 2021, end of 2021, they invited those of us who are cast already of the Heels to like join them for the Tony Awards. And trying on the can dress for the first time was like, okay, now this is back in my reality. I can like actually feel this happening. And in January of 2022, we started rehearsals in New York, and yeah, it was just the most magical thing to all be in a room together with a new group. But yeah, long story short, that's how it happened.
Whoa, that's wild.
That's a journey. I mean, that's
Yeah.
like, yeah, COVID really just we talked with James Byers from the Australian cast, and he was basically the same way. Like he auditioned back in like 2020, and then boom, like the world shut down. And it
Exactly. Yeah.
wasn't till like 2021 he got the call. Like he had to come back in, re-audition, and then
Oh,
got the call. He got like he booked it. So I think that was so many people's, yeah. And
experience. Yeah.
COVID was such a hard time on like especially like actors.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that's your work, that's your livelihood.
Yeah.
I personally like I worked through COVID, like
Mhm.
I worked every day kind of thing. But like that must have been so difficult because that's like your livelihood, and
Yeah.
then the whole world just
Being
shuts down.
together. Yeah.
Hmm.
It was really interesting. It was cool to know that, I guess in comparison with them, I at least knew that it was happening. I just didn't know when, and I didn't know what I'd be doing, and I was hoping that I'd be available for it. So
Yeah. We're glad
It's
that you were
exciting.
available for
Ooh,
it.
yeah.
yeah,
And it's exciting you got to do the Tony Awards because that was such a great
Yeah.
performance.
it
Yeah.
was. It
And
was
the
cool.
Tonys, yeah.
I mean, it's iconic, and then also just kind of put me into that headspace, like that magical theater headspace. And like everyone in the audience was masked and like tested, and we were tested. And it was also just I will never forget that roar of the audience, that audience. And then our first Chicago audience, like people had been waiting. People hadn't been in rooms of more than like 10 people at a time. So it was very magical.
Oh yeah, it was tough. I mean, on the Broadway community, like the people, like the fans, it was tough for like people
Yeah.
like us because
Yeah.
we love coming to the theater and then being like a year and a half, not being able to go. And I read about how COVID really affected a lot of people's mental health, and it did because you weren't
Mhm.
able to go out and do stuff you normally did with friends or go to the theater, go to the movies, go to a
Mhm.
concert, and it does affect you. And it also kind of made me think like how much this stuff has such an impact on your life.
Mhm.
Like just as an audience member, how like things like Broadway has such a positive impact on our lives.
I
Mhm.
was in school when COVID happened, and I remember we were doing like we were getting ready to do our school musical, and choosing it, and it was between Cabaret and Spring Awakening. Spring Awakening has been like my dream show. I'm like, oh my God, Spring Awakening. We chose Cabaret, and I was like, well, okay, that's still a good show. And then COVID hit, and then we were a school that did a musical every other year. So
Mm.
that was like my sophomore year, junior year. Like I was actually at home doing classes. And then senior year, I was on campus, and then we ended up scratching everything with Cabaret, and we went with
Right.
Head Over Heels. And it was a really fun journey, just to get to know that show, and not like a show that I was familiar with. But
Yeah, it definitely, yeah, I feel for the students. I feel for like students that had like big milestones and like graduations and these transition years that like, yeah, you didn't get to feel out what the industry was before then. What even now it's still kind of has changed because of COVID. Yeah.
yeah, I just went to my friend's graduation today, and um, well, she's a year younger than me, so she would have graduated last year, but she like took a gap year. And this was kind of the class of 2020, where in high school they had their graduation in 2020. And
Yeah.
so the dean of the college was just like, everybody stand up if you were affected by the
Um,
COVID-19 in your high school graduation, and the majority of the students stood up, and I was like, oh my
wow.
God.
Yeah. The big moment for them now, finally. Yeah.
Yeah, getting a commencement ceremony done right.
Yeah.
I turned 21 during COVID, like April of 2020 was my
I know,
21st
21,
birthday.
Yeah,
like you're not going anywhere actually.
And everyone's like, yeah,
my friend
21st
was
is
the
so
same
much
way.
fun.
Yeah.
And I was just sat there at home, socially distanced. I literally, it was like my mother and my dad and my sister, and we had like a little birthday to get together, like, just the
Yeah.
four of us, because obviously we couldn't do anything. I couldn't hang out with any of my friends or go out. So I was like, well, turning 21 was supposed to be fun.
You can turn 21 again. It's
Oh
allowed. You
yeah.
can like have
Exactly.
a night
Oh,
out.
I just
I
hit
feel
my
like
25th and I spent it in the city watching Moulin Rouge. I feel like I've made up for it now, you know?
Yes.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, my friend turned 21 during the pandemic as well as March. So it was like right when everything shut down. And like I had texted him, I was like, what are you up to? And he's just like, well, I went to the drive-through, got food, and that's pretty much the excitement of the day. I
Yeah.
was like, you poor
Oh,
thing. Alrighty,
um,
so should we get on to the next
yep.
question? Okay. So obviously we know you went through tour. So now the question is, what was like making your Broadway debut like?
oh my gosh. Tour felt like my Broadway debut as well for me. I know that's not the case for everyone, but
What was the
um
first city that you went to?
we were in Chicago.
Okay, well, yeah.
It was like I would say I mean they're obviously they're different, but for a tour it felt very magical because I hadn't done a live stage production in so long. Like I had been doing mostly TV film, and I forgot that like feeling. Not forgot, but my body kind of like forgot how beautiful that live theater feeling is, and to be present in that moment with all of the audience, all of your cast, all of your crew. And so that was really magical to just like have that with that particular cast, as we all joined together after COVID. That was really special. And then the Broadway debut was just wild because I didn't really plan on it happening necessarily. I wasn't I was very so grateful for the tour experience, and I had left the tour technically. Like I left, came back to help out for a couple weeks, and then left again. But like when Broadway was brought up, I we were living in LA at the time. I had to ask my husband if he wanted to. I'm like, are we gonna move like to New York? And he was totally game. He's always wanted to live here. And then so like after those pieces fell into place, then my brain could like be like, whoa, you're actually making a Broadway debut. What the heck? Um, it has been a goal of mine for a long time. I found this old journal from when I left Cirque du Soleil in 2015, and I wrote down like I will live in New York, I will tour, like I will tour. I didn't say anything specific, and I will dance on Broadway. I'll be on Broadway, and there was like another one about choreography or something, but it was crazy because they like came true. And Broadway was one that I knew. I didn't know. I'm just like not. I'm mostly on the West Coast, and so we don't always see those auditions. We're not in the same kind of vibe, and I was happy with it happening, but I wasn't like heartbroken if it didn't. And I when it finally did, it felt it felt really magical and beautiful, and kind of like the little girl that came to New York on a dance trip when she was 12. That girl was like beaming inside me because I remember my dance studio, we organized like a trip to New York and we got to take from the Rockettes. And I was like, ooh, I'm the shortest in the class. Definitely not going to grow that tall. But it was fun. And then we got to see Moving Out and like Thoroughly Modern Millie. And I, I remember being like, I like those little like things in your mind that go, I can do that. Maybe I can do that, you know? So I think I had like a lot of flashbacks about that. And everyone on Broadway was so lovely. And like, I obviously knew maybe like not half the cast, but a quarter of the cast. And I felt really supported. And yeah, it's just been magical. Like the whole transition, it's been a lot. It's been moving to New York, packing up all my stuff in LA, um, an adjustment for sure, and just like kind of flowing with what life is bringing. But yeah, it was very special.
You
That's so
manifested it.
sweet. Yeah, manifestation. We're big on that too. We're big on manifestation
Yeah,
on
I
this
don't know.
podcast.
It's something about it that like, yeah, it was kind of crazy. I took that page of the journal and I like ripped it out and saved it.
That's so sweet. Um, so my question is, what is your favorite song in the show?
My favorite
You
song.
you don't have to be like performing in it. It could be one you
Yeah.
perform in, one you don't perform in, whichever one.
Oh, it's so challenging. Okay, it's a tricky question, but I think like we hear it. Okay, I think I like the transition from Roxanne to Crazy Roland. Like that is very special. And like that specific part of the show, I think is always very hauntingly beautiful. Um, yeah, I really like that part. And then for bonus, if I wasn't, I think there's some parts in the opening that I just can't get over how many songs are in it. And like if I wasn't so concentrated on like staying on my leg and being like, just keep going, keep kicking. I think like outside of the show, I really enjoyed listening to that because it was just like earwormy. There's like so many different songs. There's like just a beat of one song for like 2 seconds. So that one is really like a masterpiece for sure.
Watching the opening is wild.
It's wild. It feels wild every time. It never like I'm waiting for the day that it's like, cool, like so chill. It's not. I don't think it'll ever be like that.
It's
You
such an
can't.
amazing
Yeah.
moment. This
The
Hmm.
is
Duke's
the opening.
entrance, oh my God, with like the spotlights and then like right, I was like, mm-hmm, yeah.
It
Yeah.
just, yeah, the
It's very
can,
magical.
yeah.
Hmm.
It's and like it's, I took my dad to see it, and I told him, I was like, well, I listened to the soundtrack, the opening, and then I took my mum afterwards, but I told her, I was like, the opening number is like 8 minutes long.
Yeah.
Like
Get ready.
it's,
Get there early. Get in your seats. I feel
yeah,
so bad when people like can't sit in their seats because like they don't let you in. Like if you're a little
no,
late and then you miss like I think
Literally
you
the
the
miss
best
it.
part,
probably the
not the
best
best
part.
part, but an
Yeah, one of
amazing
the
part of the
Oh
show.
yeah, I've seen it, like I've seen people coming out like firework. I'm like, oh, you've missed so
Oh
much.
yeah,
And then
that
next
that's
thing,
somebody
really
came
late.
in during Elephant Love Medley and I was like,
Oh
oh.
I was like, you missed so much. It's even with like backstage romance. I've seen it before. Like, backstage romance will finish and then people walk into their seats. I'm like, oh, like you
Oh,
just backstage romance is one of my favorite act two openers of any show I've seen.
me too, me
And I'm
too.
like, you've just missed like this fantastic dance number. What is truly one of the most Sonia Tyre was
oh my God.
on something
So
else when
good.
she
I
Yeah.
mean,
did that.
yeah, yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So, I'm gonna mash up a couple of questions. So,
Okay.
what is your favorite line or moment or scene in the show?
My favorite line or moment. Oh, I recently, I think it changes, but recently I'll say that I really love, especially like Austin just joined and Andre and Austin have like a rapport from tour and they as Ziedler and Lautrec and in the scene, in rehearsal scene one, yes, like yeah, because I'm on stage. Yeah. Rehearsal scene one when he like kind of cuts him off and he's like and they have this little aside before he goes we are trying you know and Andre has that big smile and I think the audience is always like thinks that's a cheeky little moment but now Austin and him have like it's not just like a not like a Ziedler saying like you read my mind you're not allowed to do this they have like an actual interaction and I love watching it because I'm like they are having a moment I don't know what they might not even be saying anything like vocally, but like they know what they're saying because it's so hushed and quiet. That's my favorite moment. And then when Andre goes, "Wee," it's so fun.
I love that. I love, we've talked about this on the podcast before. especially when you see it a lot of times because like my dad's like, "Do you ever get bored?" I'm like, "No," because you always see different things like when you're watching certain parts, like you focus on this now, or like so like rehearsal scene like one or two,
Mhm.
I noticed like I watched the ensemble and I just watched like to see what they do. Like
Yeah.
just like their faces, like I love watching people on stage reaction to Because She Doesn't Love You. I love watching people's
Oh
reaction.
Yeah.
yeah.
Or when the
Yeah.
Duke says stuff and just like you'll see some of them just like some of you guys just be like kind of like turning away or anything like that. So it's so much fun watching what other people do because I
Yeah.
think especially your first time, like I always find like the first time watching the show, you everyone kind of jokes that you kind of
It's
black
just
out
a
because it's
lot.
so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
But
Of
once you
course.
go so often, you're able to look and see little details that you wouldn't see on your first time, like just little things. Like I told when I saw Nick Martinez once outside of at stage door. I told him I was like during rehearsal scene like one, I was like he's in the back and he's just there like
Oh,
reciting the
I always
lines, but
watch
he's
that.
and like I never noticed it until like a few like more times in. It's just so funny to me just to watch like just the little things. But
Yeah.
yeah,
And on tour, we're not all of us are in that scene. So like I never had to do that part ever on tour. We just exited. There wasn't enough space because we didn't have the passerelle and everything. So that was new for me too. I'm like, oh, I'm on stage, staying on stage. Okay.
my question is, this is funny. I love asking people this. What is like your favorite stage mishap you've ever had, like on either the tour or Broadway,
Hmm. Biggest stage mishap
or
in
like
this.
funniest one?
Well, one happened tonight actually. I got my I was dancing in Roxanne and my partner Braden was who was from the tour as well. We're like best friends. But he's dragging me this way and like this is the pose and his head's here, his face is that way. And I went to pull apart and his mic was so wrapped up in my wig. And this has happened, but usually you're able to like you untether it, you pull it, you're able to like, oh, okay, it's not how I don't know how it got so jammed in there. I pulled and I was like, oh, so that was fun tonight. I was like, I don't think I can separate. So we had to do the rest of the Roxanne and the exit with our heads like this and walk off. And like bless him for being strong. He like lifted me up. I'm like, we can't even do the dance part because it was the cord was even wrapped in a weird way. Like we hadn't figured it out. So yeah, what do you do in those situations? You keep going. So we had like a little moment and like he like lifted me and we improved as best as we could. And then we got up when we got onto like stable ground, we were like, okay, maybe we can pull apart. No, couldn't pull it apart still and had to walk. He had to like, bless him, like walk down in the dark, down off the stage, not run into the Duke, down off the shell, off the other shell. We untangled it to a point where like we could walk side by side facing the same way instead of facing different ways. And we walked like this all the way up to the back of the house. And I had a guest in the audience tonight and she was looking for me. I was like, I'm so sorry. Like his mic got stuck in my wig. Like she's like, I didn't say that. I'm like, great, perfect,
Live
great.
theater.
Yeah,
Life, they don't never know what's gonna happen. But hey, I mean, like you said, you just carry on and you gotta
yeah, you have to.
The show
Yeah,
must
and
go on.
exactly.
there's nothing like it. Yeah, so that's I don't know if that's the worst, but that's definitely the most recent that I can remember. So
I mean, that's wild. Yeah, so I like this question. So if you could be any character, who would you be and why?
And like
in the show.
no like gender, like it can be
Hmm.
anybody.
Anyone.
Um. Ooh, I think it would be either Ziether or the Duke. Like, I think. hmm, I think either, I don't know, one of those two. Either a really kooky heel Ziedler would be really fun. Um, or like a really like cool, sexy, like savvy Duke version of me. And that, yeah, I like that. I like those two the best, I think.
I would love to see a woman take on Zidler. I would love it.
Yeah.
I think that
Yes.
it's possible for sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That
But
would be
so many
really cool.
people say like if they could be anything, it's like it's normally like Zidler or Duke. Like so many people say that's like the one they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would be
And
cool to see.
Team Duke
um
podcast.
right, Team Duke podcast. So my question is, what is like another question I have is what is your dream role or like dream show to be in?
I think this is it. I think this was my I didn't I didn't know this was my dream role, dream show, but after auditioning for it, I love Sonia's choreography. I love this team. Um, I had worked with Sonia like way back when I was, just I was at Cirque du Soleil and I was really young and I loved her stuff. And I was hoping one day I'd work with her again, but I like again, like I was on a different coast doing different things. Um, and when I got to do her choreography again, I was like, this feels right. It feels like so in my wheelhouse and really just like me. I don't know. I also I love the exorbitant like quality of the show, but also I love the storytelling in it. I love the partnering, the lifts, and how athletic it is. The music is fun. Um, so I think yeah, right now that was definitely my dream show for a long I and right now I don't know. I think my next dream show hasn't been created yet because I would love to be a part of something new and something that um really vibes with my values and my feeling for it. I don't know. Um I think it's being created still.
I love that answer. That's so sweet. I love
Yeah.
that. Um yeah, that's I'm excited to see what that show is, you know? I'm hoping, well,
Yeah,
like I said, we manifest a lot on this podcast, so we're gonna manifest for that for you.
thank you. Yeah.
That's what we do on here.
I love the idea of like I love Moulin Rouge. I really enjoyed Hades Town. Like the whatever like that kind of Moulin Rouge, Hades Town. I don't know what else to throw in, but like that kind of energy would be cool to be a part of.
That would be really cool.
We love Hades Town.
Yes, we love
Yeah,
Hades Town too.
it's so good.
And it like reminds me, this and Hades Town, it always like reminds me of the classic Romeo and Juliet. It always takes me back a little bit to that.
Yeah, I think that's
Every
beautiful. Like
that kind
a
of
lot of plays are like just so heavily structured in like these old
yeah,
Shakespearean or like old
so much
stories.
is even movies like are so related to like Shakespeare. Like one of my
Hmm.
favorite movies of all time is 10 Things I Hate About You.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Love that. And that's based off of the Shakespeare so much. And like I said, like people say about like Hades Town being kind of like Romeo and Juliet. Same with kind of like Moulin Rouge. So it's everything just like intertwines with all this old like literature, and I think it's really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's timeless, I guess.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It's a timeless story, honestly. Like the
Hmm.
plot line
Exactly.
is just very, like, it's so I don't want to say it's like basic, but it is kind of like a baseline story, and then you just
And
add
everyone
so
can
much.
connect to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I love asking this question because I have personal experience from it. Is there a song that just follows you everywhere? Like a song from the show that just follows you everywhere in your everyday life?
I think it's I Want to Dance with Somebody by Whitney Houston. I think that plays all the time. It's everywhere. It's like in the shopping malls, in the bathrooms. It's like, on the radio. It's all and it's such a good song. It's such a bop. Yeah, I
That's
think
so
that
true.
one. What's yours?
Mine is Firework by Katy Perry.
Oh, yeah, I don't hear that very often,
Yeah,
actually.
I hear it all the
Neither
time.
do
It's always
I.
also before or after I see the show, like right before or right
Right.
after. And I'm just like, chorus,
Yeah.
chorus.
I hear that And I guess I hear single ladies sometimes, but more so, yeah, I want to dance with somebody. Hmm.
We've gotten quite a few Lady Marmalades as
Hmm.
dancer, so
The
that's
What is yours?
pedicats are always playing it.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
After
that's
I'm like,
true.
You know
Trust
that?
me. You walk out and I'm
this
like,
song. Yeah,
oh
yeah. I'm
my
like,
goodness,
whoa,
it's
whoa.
yeah,
I
I'm
get
like,
it. They're marketing with us, they're like,
yeah. Well,
yeah.
they do that with like a lot of the shows. I think if you go to like other jukebox, they do like they try and do. I've noticed that. I'm like, okay. Um,
It's a business.
Not
Yeah.
it's a
Despacito, at
business,
least.
they're just trying to make money, I guess. Oh, my question is, because you guys wear a lot of costumes in the show, what is your favorite costume to wear?
Hmm. Even though, what do I love? What do I love? I think Bad Romance is really fun and it's so cute. I love those costumes. I wear different ones from tour and Broadway, but both are like so cute. So I think Bad Romance is my favorite. It's a two-piece. I can actually like move in it.
I know, because
Some of
some of
our
them are
costumes
like
are
the
quite
bodices, and
tight
I'm like, that looks like so difficult to
and
move
we have
in.
real like bones in it, like not like bones, but for the corset we have metal bones in there, so they're pretty structured, and we're trying to like sing, and breathe, and so it's nice to be in a two piece.
Oh, most definitely, yeah. Because I've seen, because you want to be able to be flexible. I personally love the Roxanne dresses. Oh my
Oh my god,
goodness,
Those
the
yeah.
are so
Roxanne
stunning.
And
dresses are
the
so.
wigs too.
I
Hmm.
know
Just the
they're just
entire
like,
vibe of
I love how they're all different too. I mean, I don't know if y'all can tell, like, because I know it's dark on our stage, but I love I love each one because it's so different.
yeah, we didn't
Like,
realize that because
we talked to
Stephanie
Stephanie, yeah, from the
from the
tour.
tour
mhm.
told us that, and we didn't know. She was like, "Yeah, well, the Roxanne's different." We were like, "Wait, what?" Like
Yeah,
we
they're
didn't
all, even
know.
when I came to Broadway, I was like, oh, like I have a Roxanne dress, like, will they just reuse that? And they were like, no, no, you're getting a different one because it's like that concept is for that character. And like now I have these sleeves and where in the other one I had like a belt. I don't know. It's really stunning the way they did those.
Yeah, the costumes in this show are always just
Oh
they're
my
just
god, they're so good. The
amazing.
detail.
Yeah.
And we
The
talked to
deep
Andrew Brewer, who
Oh
obviously did the
yeah.
tour, and he told us that the Duke costume, in the scene,
apartment
like
scene.
after, yeah, the apartment scene
Yeah.
after Roxanne, it's navy blue and not black. And
And
both
we were
Jules and I
like,
were like,
"What do
what?
you mean it's not black?" Because obviously the lighting, and we think it's like
Yeah.
black, and he's like, "Yeah, it's navy blue," and
Navy
we were like,
blue.
"What?" And we
Yeah,
didn't know this.
every fabric and texture, you're like, oh, this was very this fabric for this one scene is so specific and like hand selected or hand painted, and that, yeah, you really see, especially like in the Boston shapes. I know tour doesn't have it, but like you could see that like they connected it to those images that like Lautrec used to paint. Um, and yeah, some of them are like honestly spot on. I will say I don't do it anymore, but on tour I was a boulevardier, and that was always fun to be in because I'm like, when am I ever gonna be dressed like this?
I know
Ever.
those costumes are so lavish, and you just see them
Yeah,
walk
and then
out.
the
I love.
posh version of
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, the
Champagne.
we must be the money. I love
Yeah.
that. It's
Yeah.
so
It's the
good.
best.
But yeah, no, the costumes in the show, like though I feel a little bit bad for Christian because like Satine's costumes are like,
Yeah.
the Green Fairy and all this,
Even
and
the
then
Duke's costumes, I mean,
and
that sparkly
Christian
sheer
gets like a
shirt.
leather jacket and like
Yeah.
yeah, and a
Like
hat
the
and
Duke
stuff.
at
I'm
least
like,
gets to take the jacket off, flash the sparkly sheer shirt.
Yeah.
Christian just
and Christian
No,
gets
he
like a
gets like a little
oh yeah, he gets a
yeah,
little
he does get
little,
the
little
little
ascot.
tie.
yeah.
Yeah.
But apart from that, like Christians are a little bit not as I'm like, oh, sorry, poor
You
Christian.
know, they're not supposed to be like wealthy yet, so I
Of
guess.
course, of course.
Yeah.
But he does have a leather jacket, so
Yeah. A
Yeah.
win.
Yeah.
That's a big win for him. Um, let's see. Did I ask that question? Or did you, Lily? I
yeah,
can't
I
remember.
think you did.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so um so we asked Stephanie this question. She had like a really interesting answer. So Do you specifically have, like, as an ensemble member, have like a plot line or a storyline, a background, or like a backstory to your story?
Actually, on when we started the tour, we all had to. One rehearsal was truly going around in a circle and reading your backstory.
Wow.
Like, and some people were like really thorough, and some people were a little intimidated by it, and but it was cool because we all got to like know our characters' names. Why are they here? Where did they come from? What do they do? And it was real. That was a fun day. I think we were all nervous because we're like, what? We have to create. I'm like, okay. On tour, from I made up that, her name was Chartreuse based on her costume because I wore the green, not the blue. So I was Chartreuse, and I worked for a cobbler for a long time, like a shoemaker, right? And we would always get these sparkly shoes from the Moulin Rouge. And I was just like, I hope one day I can work there. And one day, like, I've snuck into the theater, and we honestly had these whole backstories of like, and I met this, we would meet our these other characters, and yeah, and then one day they needed someone, and I got to like work there for a little bit, and yes, we had stories like that, um, which really honestly helped and informed us. But every day on stage, I will say I have a new story and a plot line and a new intention. Sometimes it's like little, sometimes it's big, but it helps me perform to my best and to make it different for myself every night, having like a different story. And I think that's really important for artists because, it's 8 shows a week. And if you're in a long running show, it's 8 shows a week for a year or more. And how do you make it new and interesting for yourself? And then it still stays fresh and it still stays genuine for the audience and for yourself. Um, and so, yeah, I always try and have like a little bit of even though my overarching like character, maybe that's her story. In the play, I have thoughts, feelings. Sometimes I'm like sometimes with Nini and Santiago reacting to them, I'm like, oh my gosh, they're together. I didn't know that they were together. Or sometimes it's like, mm, not this again. I don't know. I just try and like have these like little thoughts, and sometimes it's just like whatever happened in my day. There was someone who came to the I'm blanking on who it was, but they were like a celebrity came to the show, and we talked to them after, and they said, was it Glenn Close? Maybe. But they said take your day with you, you know? So I try to like blend that and my story into the show, and it makes it really fun.
I love that. Yeah, I've seen like again watching it in Backstage Romance when people start walking in and some people are just like they look so confused and some people are like, oh my God, like you see the
Yeah.
different people's different reactions to it. It's so
Yeah.
much fun, especially when you see the people look at them like, what on earth is going on?
Yeah,
It's always
right.
Well,
so
it's
funny.
always very like, whoa,
Whoa,
okay.
where did
We're
this
doing
come
that
from?
here.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. I really like that answer. That's
Same with
amazing.
like rehearsal scene too, just like watching everybody in the background react to like what's
Yeah,
happening. It's the painter in the back, whoever's playing the painter, F9. He's always just kind of like,
Or when the Duke gets angry and then people are just there like, you
yeah.
can see them getting like a bit awkward and just like,
It
ugh.
helps. It helps like the tension in the
Yeah,
scene,
yes,
and
yeah.
it
yeah,
really
yeah.
does.
So like to
So
play around with that.
I love it. Um, oh, this is one of my favorite questions ever. So what do you think happens to like either A, your character or the Moulin Rouge once like Satine dies? Because obviously we know Satine dies, spoiler alert, and then we go into more, and it comes into and it's bows. So the thing I love about the show is that it's so open for
Hmm.
something else that like what happens next? What do you think happens? Like, have you ever thought about like what happens after Satine dies? Do you think the show still runs? What do you think your character does, etc.?
I think the show still runs. I think like she's someone in their minds all the time, and like how the show continues. Ideally, like they don't all get sick. Because I'm like, when you think about that's the other thing, I'm like, tuberculosis like was really like and is very easily transmitted. So it's like, how did that continue to affect the cast and the crew and the story with all of them? But for myself, I think yeah, the show goes on. They create even more hits, and like they're able to intertwine Satine's um, love and performance quality and star quality into the future that they have. Um, yeah, I don't know. I haven't thought about it too much, but I think they continue. I think they continue to make shows and perform, and honestly, I think Pierre probably takes a moment and this on on the stage, hopefully. I feel like Pierre's like the understudy in that scene, rehearsal scene. I'm like, yeah,
He's hitting
he's
all the
ready.
Pierre
yeah.
is just
Because we always joke like we say like oh, because the Duke. We're like, what happens to the Duke? So we've asked people on some like when we asked James, and he was like, he probably goes back and has a hissy fit in his apartment, and then some people are like, well, maybe he just tries to forget that time, and then like Christian, like some people are like, well, I think it's too hard for Christian to come back because he was so in
Hmm.
love as a teen. Maybe he just moves on with his life and like again tries to put that behind
Yeah.
him. So it's really interesting like asking what people think because
Yeah.
you don't know. So it's so open for interpretation and to see like does one of the Lady M's take over as Satine? Like again, it's
Yeah.
so we're always like curious what other people think about it.
and we love
Um
our sassy King Pierre.
I'm
we
like,
love Pierre.
he deserves a moment on the spotlight, I think.
He does. He
Honestly,
does.
yeah.
He deserves his moment. He is I know, I just love it. Anytime I've seen so many Pierres, like my favorite one of my favorite times was when Scrap I call him Scraps when Camber
Well,
when,
Cramps.
when he
Yeah.
does it and I every time I see him on stage I know he's away right now but every time I've seen
Yeah.
him on stage all I think about is Scramps and I'm just like I can just
That
imagine
night
him.
was iconic.
Oh my
I was
goodness,
like,
we
I should find that. I think I sent it to him actually. He posted it, but yeah, I edited that video for him because I was
that
like,
video is so funny.
yeah,
we
we
were
watch it
walking and
all the time.
I'm like, okay, I'm recording you the rest of the night.
It was
This is your
Yeah,
documentary. Like,
it's so
what's
good.
happening?
we told him we were like you need to come on stage as Scramps one time like it would be phenomenal. I think I said
Yeah.
I feel like everyone
Please,
would
yeah.
love you. They'd be like
Yeah,
maybe
actually, it's
Satine too.
Cramps. He
Yeah, I
under
was like
yeah.
maybe Scramps is the understudy to Satine.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Finally
Yeah.
emerges.
Yeah.
I can see
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Moulin Rouge too.
Moulin Rouge
Exactly.
2. Scramps Revenge.
Yes. Yeah, it was
Um,
Satine who locked him in the basement.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
it.
Yeah.
Some people think that Satine,
yeah.
I don't know what you think about this, but some people think that Satine is because like people are like, oh, the Duke's a villain in this story, but some people think Satine is a villain. What do you think about that?
Oh, I don't think the Duke is like a complete he's a villain for like trying to kind of take advantage of the whole group, I would say, and change that. But I mean, like in his story, he's just like it is kind of funny. He's like, I don't know, he's trying to show like what he has to help. It's just not the right thing. It's taken the wrong way, and he doesn't stop, and neither does Christian really. um, yeah, I don't know. I don't think she's the villain either, though. I don't know. I don't think for him, maybe for the Duke story, if this was POV of the Duke, it'd be like, that's a team.
Yeah, exactly. Some people are like, oh, she's the real villain in this. And I'm like, oh my God. So everyone's like
Well,
pointing people like, this person's a villain, this person's a villain. I'm like, maybe
I
just no
personally think
one's a
it's
villain.
Caesar, but I mean,
See, Caesar,
he is
Oh,
such a complex character. Just,
he is, yeah.
but he did pimp Satine out to the
a little
Duke.
toxic.
He did
Yes. And he has
also,
those moments where you're like, ugh, are
Oh,
you
yeah.
on our side? Like, yeah, that's
And
true.
then like the whole absinthe thing, like he's the one who
Yeah,
introduced
that's
the
true.
absinthe.
You know
Hmm.
what I don't think is a
So,
bad thing because I've tried absinthe and
yeah.
absinthe is actually really nice. I've had the drink before.
I'm like, I
I
wouldn't
don't
take as many
think
shots as Christian
okay,
does
yeah,
in
Christian, I literally watch it and I'm like, if that was real, like real absinthe, I think Christian would be in like the ER kind
Yes,
of
yeah,
yes,
thing.
yes, yes.
Um,
next to Satine.
next to Satine. Yeah, I was like, because that's a lot of because
Yeah,
absinthe I
I've
always say
never
like
tried. I probably
I actually
take.
had it at Moulin Rouge. There used to be a
Oh,
drink. I think they took it away, but there was a drink called like the Bohemian Songwriter or something, and it had like absinthe, vodka, and some other stuff. I
Yeah, it's
had it at the
usually like
show
I like a
once.
little bit like mixed in with
Yeah,
yeah.
oh yeah,
No, I
by
think it's
itself
like
is
if it's
gross.
like an absinthe like drink, I'm pretty sure it's like doop, like a little.
Yeah, it's a tiny bit, but I've had it before, and I was like, I don't know if it's really like that bad of a thing, but I wouldn't take like shots of
shots
it.
of it. Yeah.
Wouldn't recommend.
Well, and that's why they're seeing the green fairy. Like they
Hmm.
that got them to that point.
And then Roxanne happens and it's just all in his head.
Ooh, and
Oh my gosh.
it's just downhill from there.
What a journey. What a journey.
He really went through a journey.
Just that
Christian was
transition,
just
man, from Chandelier, and it's like
oh
everybody goes, and then it's like
boom
spotlight.
boom boom
Boom.
boom boom boom. That bit is
Ugh,
so good.
yeah,
I
so
love
good.
it. That's they really did that music and that bit. It sends kind of like chills down your spine because it's like it's like do
Mhm.
do do and it's like word to the wise my dear and it's like oh
Oh,
okay now we're getting serious
yeah.
because Roxanne's a very like it's such a kind of like a gut-wrenching song in a way if you really
Mhm.
think about it because
Yeah,
he's
it really is.
talking it's really like it's jealousy as well because he's talking about it but he's also like he can't stand the thought of it and
Mhm.
he basically kind of drives himself insane
Yeah, I
a
mean, I
little
saw
bit.
John Cardoza in the
Mhm.
tour, and oh
Or
my God,
I know.
Roxanne was.
Isn't he
Oh,
amazing?
it still like lives rent free in my mind. I told him at the
Yeah.
stage door that was the most unhinged Roxanne that I've ever seen.
Yeah. He goes
So,
there. He goes there. It's so cool to see.
oh, you can tell, like you can see the pain. I'm like, oh,
I love it. I
But
just
that's
love
what like
watching
oh yeah, that number can definitely wreck you. Yeah.
everyone's I've seen it quite a few Christians. I've been really lucky. And just watching everyone's interpretation of Christian and their interpretation of Roxanne is always just like
Mm.
I'm like, oh
yeah.
my goodness,
I will say John was the first one who like actually got me pretty teary-eyed during Roxanne. It's usually like that one scene before Crazy Rolling where you all guys are like
Mhm.
singing the Roxanne in a very like mellow tone.
Oh
That
yeah,
part.
yeah,
And
yeah.
when
and
he's
she's
like
like
crying on
coughing
the
really
ground,
bad.
I'm like
Yeah.
Yes.
I can't do it.
And you're just like, oh my goodness.
Oh.
And then like especially at the end, Come What May reprise is that's a bit of a tearjerker for me. I have
Oh,
to be like,
took me so long to not like get teary-eyed on stage in the tour, like for the first like month or two. Like
yeah,
I
especially when
Yeah. Your
yeah.
song reprise as well, like just
Yes.
the harmonies when
oh yeah.
everybody comes
Hmm.
out. Oh my God.
So good. And like the when he says before he starts the Come What May reprise and he's like place to belong and like people to love, that's always like a bit of
Yeah,
like a
all of our
it
friends and
pulls
I are
on our
like, oh,
heartstrings a little bit. So it's such a sweet and it is a really
Hmm.
that's what it feels like and it this show does feel like a place to belong and people to love because it is. We I can speak for a lot of people. When you just go into the show, it's just like it feels like all your issues kind of go away and you're just there
Mhm.
immersed in this show and
right
the
when you
amount
walk
of
into the theater
people
too, because of the lights and how
Mhm.
Hirschfeld, like you have all the sets and the cages and yeah.
and the
Yeah.
amount of people like that even and Lily can agree, like we've met through this show, whether that being cast or just other people who love it as much as you, has just been like amazing. I've made like the best of friends. And we always joke that Moulin Rouge hires the nicest people. We always
Yeah,
say like
it's so true.
at auditions, like they have to make sure you're nice or something. Like because every cast member we've met, and every cast and people we've met have always been just the sweetest people. You guys are just like the nicest people, and we're like, this is like a requirement. Like you guys just
It's
hire
on
the
your
nicest
resume. You
people.
have to
It's
be
on the
nice.
resume. Like
Nice person.
nice
Like
person
all
because
these credits and then nice person. Yeah.
everyone has been like I've never been to a show where the stage show has been the way it is. Like just so lovely, all of you
Oh,
guys just
I'm
being so
glad.
nice. And it really does like you see people and like if they recognize you and it's just like sometimes you just talk to people, like it feels like you're talking to like old friends because like just how open you guys are and just like, hey, how are you? And it's just so nice to like see that and feel that.
Yeah. Well, we're people too. So I feel like
Exactly.
it's always nice to just recognize that. And, I know stage dooring is not for everyone, and I'll occasionally do it. I don't do it all the time, but I think it's so nice to hear feedback. I've had people at the stage door be like, I tried to catch you in Houston at the stage door, you didn't do it. And then I'm there. They remember me from Houston, from tour. I'm like, that was a year ago. What? And to make that connection. And I think that's really cool about like humanity and community and this beautiful show that brings all of y'all together and then to us. And yeah, I'm glad that people are treating you nicely. Yeah.
Yeah, we love it. We love it. And because it's a lot of not all the ensemble members stage door and swings.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
we sometimes, we'll go up to stage door and we literally were like, okay, we hope we see these people. We just say hi to them and because
Yeah.
it's yeah, I know not everyone stage doors, we get that.
Mhm.
And that's a choice. And if that's what and we respect that as well. Um but if we get lucky and you see them and we're able to just to say hi and just thank them for
Yeah.
doing what they do is always like really fun. Um, because we love it.
Oh,
Mhm.
well, yeah, y'all are always so sweet. And yeah, it's just, we're probably, because you guys are so sweet, we're gonna obviously be coming back. And I think that's the thing, like when kindness keeps creating kindness. And yeah, um, I'm glad to hear that you've had good experiences for sure. I know it's also, how many times have you guys seen the show?
I will be going for my eighth time
Eight. Uh-huh.
next weekend.
This Sunday coming, so this the more I'll hit my 21st.
What?
I know.
It's your
I'm like, woo, woo,
21st.
woo.
Wait, no, that's your 21st birthday. That's what you're gonna
Yeah,
do on.
There you
You're
go. That's my
y'all
there
should
you
20th.
like
go.
go, I don't know, do something special and be like, this this is part of it. This is
This is
part of
making
your
up for
anniversary.
my COVID 21st
Yes.
birthday. Yeah,
Yes.
I'm hitting 21 and it will be because I've done two times in London and then the rest has always been on Broadway. So I was able to branch out to London
Yes.
this year, what was
Yeah.
so much fun to see it on the West End. And I actually took my
Mhm.
mum. She'd seen it on Broadway and I actually took her with me in London to see it. And she loves the show. She's like, if you ever want me to come with you to New York to go see Moulin Rouge again, I'm like, okay, like I'll set it up. Just because like I go with my friends. So I'm like, oh, let me find a
Yeah.
time and we'll go up there. And she loves it. She
Aw.
loves it. Oh, my dad loved it. And my dad's not like my dad likes musicals, but he's very like he's not like me.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And he'd seen the movie, but I took him and I was so nervous. I was like, if he doesn't like it, and I bought him the ticket, and he doesn't like it, like what's gonna happen? And he was at like intermission. I was like, do you like the show? And he was like, I love it. I was like, yes.
A
It
win,
was
a
like
win.
a big win. So, but yeah,
Yeah. Should we move on to some fan questions?
yeah, yeah. Absolutely. Lily, do you want to start?
Yeah. So I got a fan question, and somebody asked, "How comfortable are those wigs?"
The wigs?
Yeah.
Hmm. Actually, they're pretty comfortable because they're made for our head. Um, and if they like, basically we get our heads, okay, molded is not the word. There's a special word. But they like do a taping of our head with our wig prep on. And so it's as long as your hair stays around the same length and you do the prep the same, it's pretty comfortable. I've also worn wigs for a long time with other shows, and I think it's like hard at first. I remember the growing pains of like the pins digging into my head and getting headaches. But now it's like I feel nothing. So it's pretty comfortable for me.
Oh, I love that. Someone asked, um, as a fellow AAPI girl, did you do anything to celebrate AAPI month?
Always celebrating, always supporting Asian American owned restaurants and businesses and people and sharing stories. Yeah, my family is Chinese and they actually owned and grew up in a restaurant. Like my mom and her siblings and my grandparents, that's what they kind of did. So like I always being in New York is really cool because I've been able to explore a lot of different cultures or adjacent food types. And yeah, supporting that. We did do a trip to Bird and Branch, which I didn't even know was AAPI owned. And their story is so cool. They're just like the coolest couple. We just basically like were like, tell us your life story. But they had this vision to create something in the community. It wasn't just about coffee, it was also about like helping people maintain work skills and job skills for maybe people that have a hard time like maintaining a job. And they worked with agencies to kind of create an opportunity to help um, a part of our a population that maybe doesn't always get that chance in a regular job. And they created this amazing cafe. It's right across from our theater. And so if anyone's listening and they haven't been, they should go. But we did that. And yeah, I don't know. It's just a part of my, I mean, the month is beautiful to have. And um, I always just try to do it every day, all year round. So
I didn't know Bird and Branch was AAPI
Me
owned.
neither.
So
yeah,
I
I just
they
learned
found that out
did.
on
something new.
Instagram. I was like, because I'm also like I'm from China. I was
Mhm,
adopted at the age
mhm.
of 1 from China, and yeah, I didn't know, and so I saw it on Instagram. I was like, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah,
It's
I
so cool. I think
literally
because
did not know.
they're not always like in the front anymore. Like they have a couple businesses now, and they have a beautiful daughter. So I'm sure she takes up some of the time, but yeah, their story was so amazing. And it was just cool to hear them out and listen to like where they came from, what they're doing, and what they're trying to do for our community, even like in like Times Square, Hell's Kitchen, Broadway area. So
That's amazing. Yeah, I only because you just said it, I did not know they're AAPI. So
yeah,
you learn something new every
Yeah.
day. Every day's a school day.
The
And
last time
yeah,
I was
we
there, the last time I was there was the first time I was there, and I ordered a water.
yeah. Well, and they have the best water, you know.
They do.
I
They
do.
use a
Yes.
really
I've
fancy
I've been there a
bottle,
few
and
times and had some of their drinks. So I've been there a couple of times,
They
but 'cause
also like their treats they bake in house. That was the cool thing. Faith, like she likes to create recipes, and like all of their little treats have like black sesame, hojicha like flavor, pandan, like they're all mochi stuff. Like there's just some really cool ways that they've infused their culture into it as well.
that's
So,
amazing.
get a
I
peanut
did
butter
not know.
cookie there too. It was very good.
mhm.
Very good.
They look tasty.
Yeah, they're because you can't because I think I heard
Yeah, I'm
because
gluten free and dairy
you're
free.
yeah, because I was saying we talk about how we gift like sometimes we'll gift Schmackery's cookies, like we'll give them
Oh,
out.
yeah.
And we were talking, me and another fan account, and I was like, well, this isn't this. However, we can't do it for Jen because Jen is gluten. I like said that to him. I said, don't send it to Jen because unfortunately she's gluten and she won't be
I
able to enjoy
know.
it and it'll be really
I
sad for
it's
her.
appreciated. I think I received one time, and I was like, and I gave it to like one of the cast members that really
Yeah.
needed it today, you know.
Yeah, we were like, I just don't want to buy it for her. And then I feel like we're gonna be taunting her, basically,
Oh
like,
my
hey,
God.
it's this, and you can't have
No,
it.
no, I appreciate it. It's so sweet. But yeah, save your coin or, give it to someone else or I'll pass it on. But
Smackery's cookies are so
Love
good.
it
Schmackers
looks so
cookies.
good. Ugh,
So
I
good.
wish. I wish I could eat one.
Um, but yeah, no. Do you have any more questions, Lily?
I do not. What about you?
I think that's all of my questions for tonight. But
Amazing.
thank you again. Thank you so much. Also, are you gonna be in the next Avatar? Because I know you were in 2 and 3. Are you gonna be in? Because they're making another one, right?
Well, three is the one that's coming out next.
Oh yeah,
Because
okay.
this
Okay.
Yep.
two just came out.
2 just came out.
And
Okay,
yes,
yeah.
we filmed them at the same time.
Ah,
So
because I
we
found that
had
out. I was like, that's so cool. She was an Avatar. Like, it's such a big movie franchise.
Hmm.
yeah, I, honestly like I that's a whole other can of worms where you're like, I just Moulin Rouge was a huge dream of mine that I didn't know, and then to be a part of that film was, or those films was like a dream come true that I didn't even know I had.
'Cause
So yeah,
your resume is like
It's very
Amazing.
random.
Whoa.
But we
No,
were
but it
seeing
is
like you
like,
performed at the
whoa.
Grammys and you did music videos. I was like,
And Cirque du Soleil, and I was like,
Circus Olay.
whoa.
Keep them
You
on
did
my
like
toes. Yeah.
you did
I feel
like
like
Paul McCartney at the Grammy. I was like, oh my
I know I
goodness.
performed with the Beatles, the ones
Yeah.
Yeah.
here with us. Like that will never leave my resume, even though it's like kind of old now. Like, because when you update your resume, you kind of have to take stuff off.
Yeah, they say after
Supposed to
like
Okay,
a
have
but
like
that's
one
certain
page.
iconic.
I'm like,
iconic.
that's just the most random thing. Yeah, we got to perform with Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr, and that even for my dad, I think like that was the coolest moment, probably for him. Um, but yeah, my resume does go all over the place. Um, but I like it
Great.
that way, I think. And I'm excited to see what else is added to it and what experiences I can have. Because I think I feel at home in Moulin Rouge because I had such great experiences at Avatar. I was able to rise to the occasion at Avatar because I had great experiences at Cirque du Soleil. I, and I'd met some incredible people along the way. So they all feed into me as an artist. And yeah, yeah. So it's pretty all over the place, but I like it that way. Yeah.
Well, it's fantastic. So that's really cool. Like I said, performing with the
Thanks.
Beatles. Holy crap.
Okay, yeah.
I
Amazing.
know. And for you, you're like, that's what I was saying. For my grandma's from one of my grandmas are from the UK. She's from London. She's from Croydon, I
Oh
think.
yeah, I know Croydon. Yeah.
Yeah, she's from there. And yeah, so like she used to go to their concerts, I think.
Yeah.
And
My
so yeah, for me to tell her, yeah, I performed with Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr. It's wild. I don't know.
yeah,
That's
I grew
the
up
one.
I'm born and raised in England. So a lot of my time was grew up. My dad grew up like in the 60s and 70s in England. So when I was a kid, he introduced me so much to things like the Beatles and Elvis and all this stuff, like Queen.
Yeah.
He was such a big Queen fan. He saw like the final concert of Queen before Freddie Mercury passed. Like
Uh-huh.
he was, and again, he's a big Beatles
Wow.
fan, like all of that stuff. So, um, I was
The
introduced to their
music's
music at such a young
incredible.
age. Hmm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's exciting. I think if I did something like that, my dad would probably like he would be like, oh, he'd be like, I'd be favorite child. I was like,
It's like, okay, fine. I mean,
oh,
I think that's always the thing. I feel like as a kid in musical theater or acting or dancing, you're like, well, I want to be an actor. And they're like, or I want to be a dancer. They're like, mm-hmm.
hmm,
I understand the hesitation from parents, and my parents have always been supportive, but my dad was always like, and apply for university too. And so I did. But it's cool to have some of these moments that it like paid off, that their like belief in me, like their support paid off, and them taking me to dance classes and singing lessons and acting lessons like way back in the day. Um, paid off now. And I mean paid off in the sense that they were like, wow, okay, she can do this at a professional level. um and so yeah, that was cool. These little like things are cool to share with my parents. Yeah.
I
Now
love that. That's sweet.
Christian sings from the balcony. All you need is love.
Honestly, well, there's probably
There's no melody to it,
the
but
the music rights. I don't know
yeah.
how Justin Levine and the team figured all that out. So
With the amount of songs in the show.
75 songs? I don't know.
It's
75?
something like
Yeah.
that. I think I looked
73?
it up and it's a
Mhm.
lot. It's a lot. Yeah, that's so sweet. That's so cool. But yeah, thank you so much. Thank you
Hey,
for
thank you
just
so
for
much. Thanks
talking to
for,
us. Like we really, really do appreciate it.
I'll
When
see
any of
you
you guys
on this weekend.
yeah,
Yeah.
we'll be here this weekend coming. I mean when the podcast can come out next week, but
It's
Okay.
like
coming out
yeah,
on my birthday.
on her birthday. So
Yeah. Okay, so you have lots of things to celebrate.
Yeah.
yeah, we're doing a lot of
My
celebration this
birthday,
weekend.
Jules is redo
Made up
21st.
21st.
Redo
Yeah.
21 again.
So much stuff is happening this weekend. So, but yeah, no, we will see you then. And
Okay.
we're excited. So, but yeah,
Yeah,
like I
I'll
said,
see you
thank you.
soon. Thank you so much, and I'll see you soon.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
That was
Oh,
awesome. That
she's
was
so
amazing.
sweet.
Very sweet. That was the lovely Jenn Stafford. Um she's amazing. That was a very lovely
That was
interview.
so fun.
Um,
We forgot in announcements. I did not forget this time, but we forgot in announcements.
today was
Sadly, Sarah, who was on Broadway, um, as one of the
Sarah
heels.
Bowden, that is.
Yes, she was on Broadway as one of the heels, and then took her final bow with Derek and JoJo in July, um, of 2023. And she went to tour to be Nini for a little bit, and she took her final bow tonight.
So sad. I really, really, Sarah was always, she was
Ah,
actually like
love
one of the
Sarah.
first cast members I like met, and she was super, super nice. She was really, really lovely, and I saw her, she was my first Nini because she understudied
Aw.
Nini, and she was phenomenal. And my dad even said she was he mentioned, he was like, I don't know how, like, watching like he asked, like, she was like, the girl who's in the rock. I said, oh, that's Nini. He
Yeah.
goes, oh, how she puts her legs like so high up, like, he was like, I would break a hip. I'm like, all right,
In
Dad,
Bad
you're like
Romance, where
60, of
like,
course you
no.
would. But like, yeah, she was so sweet, and like I said, I loved her, seeing her. I saw her in the ensemble track, her ensemble. She was
Yeah, same.
and I
I
also
saw
saw
her
her as
well, yeah, we saw, well, you saw, did you see her last show? Did you go July 30th?
I went to the day before her last
Okay,
show.
yeah,
So I went on the Saturday. I wasn't
yeah.
able to attend the Sunday due
There's
to
a
work
very funny
reasons.
picture of Jules at the stage door. I don't know who it was in the back that who you're taking a picture,
Oh
but in the
my goodness.
background you
So
can.
you know what, guys, I need to tell you this story. So you know how we always say that first time we were in the city, we didn't know each other, and this was July of
I
2023.
love
I'm not even kidding you. I was looking back on my
it.
Instagram
We were
post.
on FaceTime with Liz
Yeah,
and
we were
Julia.
looking, and we were like, hey, hold on, zoom in.
Is that
I
Lily?
take a photo with, I think it was a photo of me and Alec or David.
Yeah,
Zoom in at the back on the
we
side where
definitely
the
did.
pillar is, there's a lily. I'm like, you're telling me in the day we were also at the same stage or at night, and like I said, we were like
We
10
were,
feet away
yeah,
from each other.
yeah.
10, 20 feet. But yeah, you zoom
Okay,
in
I
and you
don't
can
know
actually,
who, I just have it zoomed in, but like that would be me and my
yeah,
friend in
yeah,
Jules's post.
yeah, she's in my photo on my account. And we didn't even realize. And like I said,
Until
we just
somebody was like, "Is
noticed it.
that Lily?" And I was like,
Yeah,
"What?"
like I think it was like Liz or something. She was like, "Is this Lily?" I was
I
like,
was like,
"Oh my
"What?"
God, it is."
Oh my God.
Um, that's
So we
funny to
have
me.
proof. We have living proof that we
Living
were
proof.
at the
Sage Storm, we didn't
stage
know each
door
other.
and we didn't know each
Um,
other.
but yeah. Anyway, this was really fun. Loved it. Happy birthday to Lily. Um,
Happy birthday to future me. Just kidding. Happy
future
birthday, me.
you. Well, it's been real. It's been fun.
It's been real fun.
It's been real fun. Um. And we will see you next time.
Bye, guys.